And well, hello there everyone, and I am just literally chilling out in my minivan with this amazing ceiling that I completely love. And I've got my heater running, okay, so my diesel heater, I'm going to turn this off, okay, there we go. I've got my diesel heater running, so that's good. It's working great. I tested it. I'm doing the standard sort of run through with it, and you know, right now I'm at a McDonald's. I woke up this morning and I thought, you know what I haven't had in a while? They're hot cakes and sausage. Now I know there's a few of you probably already freaking out. What are you doing eating that stuff? It's bad for you. Well, yes, maybe. Okay, maybe it is bad for me. But I know the nostalgia is not bad for me. The nostalgia associated with the whole McDonald's thing, I think, you know, obviously that's the whole marketing side. You know, my family and I, when we were little kids, we'd go to McDonald's. My dad would buy us, you know, the burgers and all that stuff, and that was a lot of fun. Was it healthy? I don't know. Is it healthy now? Apparently not very. However, that being said, I like to live dangerously. So let's talk about some of the things, some of the questions that I've gotten in the past few months. You know, the common questions that people kind of ask me and have sort of messaged me about. And I've got 5 questions that crop up all the time. And I'm going to go through them with you with some answers. And, you know, maybe this will help out some people. So one of the questions that I got was it difficult to build out your van? That's a really good question. And for me, I've never built out a van build. This is my very first van build. And so one of the first things I did was, you know, you always ask the question, you know, can I actually pull this off? Can I actually do this? And 9 times out of 10, whenever something challenging for me happens, I always say probably not, however, but I'm going to figure it out. And the first thing I did was I watched YouTube videos similar to this one, you know, something much more useful than what I'm doing right now with you guys, just sort of talking about what I did. There's some really amazing build videos out there that show you step by step how to do stuff. This channel isn't it. My channel doesn't do a lot of that stuff. Mine's more like, okay, here's what I did, check it out, and then there's me talking about it. So that's one thing. Is I read online forums, I went to groups, I joined Facebook groups, I also joined up a Reddit group. I saw what people were doing, and then at that point I started writing stuff down. I think it's important to create a little journal for yourself, a booklet, or maybe a bunch of papers put together, organized, so that you can get all your thoughts together, because as you're building it out or as you're planning it, you start to figure out what has to get done. So was it difficult to build out? I think for me, yes, because it wasn't what I did. But after a while, I learned how to, you know, when I was doing this, I was more of a, you know, cut twice, measure once kind of guy. But after a while, things got easier after trying stuff out and spending a bit more time with the tools and understanding how tools work. Oh, that's another thing, is it wasn't just van build videos that I watched. I also watched carpentry videos. And so this is over time, by the way. And before my van build as it is right now, I had what's called a no build. So if you want to start up really quickly, a no build can help you out a lot in terms of just getting you out there, getting you started. Okay. So another question that I got was, why did I choose a minivan? This is a good question. Well, you know what? I didn't choose the minivan. The minivan chose me. You know that expression? I don't even know what that means, but anyway, I didn't have a huge budget for any of this stuff. So I wanted a ProMaster. A few of you guys already know that I've wanted a ProMaster 1500, maybe a mid roof. High roof would be good, but I would be completely happy with a mid roof. So, but at the same time, along with that ProMaster, you know, cargo van came with a huge cost and expense, which at this point in my life, I'm not prepared to spend. I just can't. It's just not in the budget. So I looked at the different types of minivans out there, and they all have something in common. One thing in common is a majority of them, the Honda Odyssey, the Sienna, Toyota Sienna, which is, to me, tops in books. And then there's what I've got, a Dodge Grand Caravan. You can fit an 8x4 plywood in there, and so you sort of have this area, this 8x4, 32 square feet of space that you can work with. And you know, for one person, it's comfortable. For two people, it's going to get a little comfy. You know, it's comfortable, like cozy. That's a word. For two people, it's cozy. For one person, it's comfy. For two people, cozy. And maybe in some cases, a bit too cozy. So I think if you're gonna do, I guess, this van build thing, and if you're a solo traveler, and you don't mind not having to stand up, right? A minivan could go a long way. And also, the other thing too is, I would not want to have gotten a ProMaster or a Sprinter and then realize, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I can't do this. But I learned a lot starting off with the minivan. So this was something that, it's been such an amazing experience. I have gotten so much use out of this thing, just on a personal level, on my trail running, which completely tapered down as the year went through. But even just as a personal space, I'll say it, fortress of solitude, where I can go in here and retreat and sort of just gather myself. It's been incredibly therapeutic. In addition to this YouTube channel, it's been therapeutic for me. So I'm happy with that. So that's always good. So that's the deal with this. Is I sort of didn't choose the minivan. Well, okay, fine. I did choose a minivan because of all the parameters, but it was the thing that fit my budget. And also, I don't think I would ever, or I don't think anyone should, get into so much debt to get into the quote-unquote van life. I think that's a no-no. You don't want to do that. The idea with van life, the idea with doing this, at least for me, is to sort of like simplify or make your life better, not make your life more stressful. So hopefully that answers that question. And I also have a video about minivans and why it's a good choice. Again, but if I were to choose a minivan, I definitely would have gone for the Toyota Sienna. I was so close to getting one, but it was just way out of my price range. And then I found another one, but it just, somebody snapped it up, and good for them. It was a really good deal. And so this Dodge Grand Caravan 2008 happened to come my way, and hey, here we are. Okay, another question that I get is, what do you do all day? Do you work? Yeah, actually, I do work. I work full-time. I work in a 9-to-5 job, and I use this van as a way to make the day easier. The number one thing that I do here during my break is I take a nap. I have my lunch. I relax. I completely decompress, and then I go back to work and just do what I'm doing, right? So yes, I do work full-time, and certainly, at some point, I would love to be able to arrange my life in such a way so that I can travel. That would be amazing. I don't know when that's going to be, really. It could be when I retire. It could be next year. Who really knows? And I'm going to keep it at that. But for now, yes. What do I do all day? I work, and then I also do trail running. I just live. I live, and I keep going. And that's going to go to the next question that I get a lot with regards to my van life and what I'm doing here. And it'll be coming up. Okay, so this is a question I get a lot, and this one's a little difficult to answer, just because there's a lot of parameters or conditions to how I go about answering this question. So the question I get asked is, do you live in your van full time? Well, let's start with the basics. Well, living in your van full time in the city, it's actually not legal. So I'll leave it at that. Okay, and here's another question is, how much did your entire van build cost? Well, let's start with, there's two parts to my van build. well, actually three. The first one is the van itself, okay, and I won't go into that. The other one is the electrics, and then the actual build. For the electrics, all of that stuff I bought brand new or as new as possible, because I just didn't want to mess with that stuff. Excuse me. Wow. I don't want to mess with that stuff. However, everything else in terms of the plywood, the different types of things I already had, or I was able to get. It was gifted to me. My van build is based on found, free, or near free materials. So the cost was really, really low. For example, one of my family members had plywood just before, when plywood costs skyrocketed to like over $100 a sheet. Well, they had some plywood. Hey, you know, I've got some plywood, so I was able to take that, and I built part of my van build from that plywood, like this piece right here. The other thing is, I also did some dumpster diving for plywood, or rather for skids, you know, some pallet wood, things like that. So those things are available. One thing you have to make sure is, if you are going to do that, whatever pallet that you're going to be using, ensure that it's not chemically treated, because that's going to be an issue. The best types that you want to get are the ones that are heat treated or that are natural. If they come with little symbols of chemical treatment on them, you don't want to use them. You might be driving down the neighborhood or something, you might see somebody throwing away some lumber or pieces of wood. These are all things that can essentially become part of your build. Of course, you have to clean it up, sand it down, that kind of thing, right? For example, the ceiling, which, you know, I am so glad I did the ceiling. It was one of the things that scared me, but the ceiling is one of the best parts of this van, I think. And the ceiling was from a dumpster dive, okay? And it was 3 thin sheets, and I used it, and now this facade just creates this amazing mood within my van. So in terms of cost, it was all under, I remember saying $1,200, but about under $1,500 Canadian for the build itself. The electrics, again, were separate. I wanted to buy that new, or as new as possible, because I wanted to make sure that, you know, it's safe. That's important for me. There are other things that I spent on, or was gifted to me, or I found and was useful, and maybe at some point I'll create a video about that stuff. Okay, I think that's about it. I don't know if I missed anything else. I think I said there were 5 things. Maybe I said 4. I don't know. It's all unscripted. I sort of just start talking, and probably this whole time you could hear the diesel heater running, because it's actually cold outside. It's getting colder. So hopefully the audio is good. I didn't even think about that. So you might have to turn up your volume a little more, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this channel, please like it. Give me a like, thumbs up, whatever people call it these days. If you think it's worthy, please subscribe. Tell your friends, and I will talk more about my van build in the future. And if you have any questions, let me know. Post them up in the comment section, or you can message me directly via my email. Thanks very much, and remember, I have to remind myself of this, and I think you should too. You're awesome. You could do stuff. You're worthy. You've got lots of stuff that you can actually accomplish in this life. I think that's very possible. And the other thing, it's normal to maybe not feel as worthy or as capable or competent as the next person. That's all in your mind, okay? What you need to do is you need to write stuff down. That's something I do all the time. I'm constantly journaling. There's my journal somewhere around here. Anyway, I'm journaling all the time, constantly reminding myself I could do this. And that's the number one person you have to listen to. You have to listen to you, especially when you're saying the right things to yourself. Don't listen to people that are negative. Yeah, that's my message for today, okay guys? Don't listen to people that are negative. Try to be positive, and that's what I try to do. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. And there you have it. Please support my channel by commenting and subscribing. It's free, and it can help you with your own tiny home build, as I will be giving out free tips and tricks on how you can make it happen. And if you believe someone else may benefit, please share the video of my curated playlist.